Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Scorpio energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row is going to be high vibe Scorpio energy. The bottom row is going to be a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy. We all have our dualistic nature because we have free will. We can have hope and faith and belief in ourselves and love and our dreams, or we can get caught up in our fear and our insecurity or our pride or our ego or our more immature, indulgent nature. And some people could be struggling within themselves. High vibe Scorpio is people who want to go on a journey in life being in deep, meaningful relationships. And that means you have to be willing to heal and grow and mature yourself to keep moving forward in life, to go on that emotional ride of life. You can't keep staying the same. You can't keep staying defensive. You can't, if you want to be in deep, meaningful relationships, that means you over time have to grow and heal and mature yourself. And some people don't want to do that because it could require that they detach from some old ways of living life or viewing life. And some people don't want to do love. Some people don't want to do deep, meaningful relationships. Some people prefer to keep their emotions, their more deep, meaningful nature or authentic nature, hidden beneath the surface. And they might be more inspired to make their life more about themselves or indulging themselves or ego or image or money or materialism. So we just need to see the truth of it, because the truth sets us free to see how people, if we want to have deep, meaningful relationships, if we're inspired to grow and heal and mature ourselves over time as we live life, and we're willing to detach from old ways of viewing life and, continue to add to our foundation in a way, and we realize other people aren't, well, then we're on different pages in life, and what we're inspired by is different. The reason for the top row's reading is professional assistance. It's also the reason why the reading came out. Some people in their Scorpio energy, and we all tap into Scorpio energy, some people are very loving and giving and nurturing. And, it's like always trying. Love is what we can offer people. Love, encouragement, resources to try to help other people love and believe in themselves. But we have to realize they have to make that free will choice themselves. And some people could have realized that it's one thing to try to offer people love and encouragement. It's another thing to get in a relationship with them and think that you can change them. And I think, and professional assistance, people could be looking for help. You could be someone who tries to help people. You could have went and got help yourself. Turn to love. Love is the answer. You could have turned to love yourself, to free yourself from things that manipulated you. And it could have been other people you were trying to help, but they weren't willing to make that free will choice to help themselves. And if they are still looking for someone to kind of enable them in their poor behavior, you realized you didn't want to play that role in their life anymore. Again, I offer you love, encouragement, and resources for you to do this work within yourself, not to constantly be someone that you're codependent on. So, the reason for the bottom row's reading is present power. This reminds me of Aries and Leo energy, which any of us can tap into. But in shadowy energy, it can be people who are kind of more about themselves. And they like to find people who are willing to give to them. Or they think they're the boss, and maybe they like to be in relationships with people who are more loving and mature and balanced, but they're not. But they like to be in relationship with people that are more high vibe because they don't want to be in relationships with people who are like themselves. And high vibe people can be drawn to want to help people who might, in kind of shadowy energy, be, shadowy Leo can be defensive, can be prideful, can be egotistical. Shadowy Aries can be bossy, can be controlling. but they might look very victorious and successful in the world in a lot of ways. And sometimes loving people get in relationships with people, you know, they have a lot of loving, nurturing energy. The other person, what they might be abundant in is things of the world. And then we get in a relationship thinking both aspects will be valued and appreciated in other people, what both people bring to the table. But sometimes the people who are more worldly oriented, they think it's just and fair that loving people want to invest in them because of their status or their image or their looks or their power or their influence. But they think that what they bring to the table is most important, and that you should let the scales be tipped in their favor, where you kind of emotionally indulge them because they view these things of the world that they have as more important. Because more shadowy worldly energy can represent someone who's been more focused on things of the world, so they might have put more work and effort into having those things of the world than they did in emotionally growing and maturing and healing themselves. And sometimes that's, what some shadowy worldly people want. I want to look like I have reaped and harvested what other loving people have harvested in the world. I know I'll go find someone who's loving and nurturing to get in a relationship with. But it's kind of like you're operating from two different foundations. One person is trying to do love. The other person is kind of more motivated by the world. And eventually the loving people are like, I want to be in a relationship with someone who's more motivated and inspired to be in a relationship with me because of hope and faith and belief and love. And eventually the more worldly focused person could realize they might want more ego, more image, more status, and they want to be in a relationship with someone who can help them acquire those things. So kind of what drives us is two different things. Let's go look at the bottom row first. Increase, taking steps, great gratitude, a consciousness of lack, a creative endeavor, and the vast universe. So, some people who might have a more worldly, shadowy view of life, lack some hope and faith and belief in love, might not even want to do love because you can get hurt doing love. And in order to move forward with people who are like that, you do have to work through some of your fears and insecurities that are blocking you from being maybe more inspired by love or being willing to do love. And so they could operate from their more emotionally defensive nature. Some of the people, our shadowy worldly nature can just represent our kind of more defensive view of life. There could be some people in the world or that in your life, and that we have to do within ourselves is to take steps, and this is a feminine figure, so that can mean emotionally and how we think and feel. And the masculine figures can represent needing to take action. When we see ourselves in a situation in shadow energy that we could feel has become oppressive, limiting, restricting, confining, oppressive, or imprisoning, high vibe people do this work within themselves. They're inspired. Both Aries and Leo energy is fire energy. They're kind of motivated and inspired when they realize something about how I'm living my life or the place I'm working or the people I'm hanging out with. I'm starting to feel that it can be that I realize I've learned everything I needed to learn at this phase of life. And now, because I am maybe more listening to my intuition, that I want to grow to my full potential. I'm ready to go to the next phase of life, just like we did going from age 15, going to age 18, going to age 21, going to age 25. Some people live their life at a phase of life. They are more bold and brave and confident and listen to their intuition to emotionally take these steps to appreciate the cycle of life they were in. But with the consciousness of lack, it's realizing kind of like there's nothing new to learn here. I've kind of learned what I needed to learn here. And I feel like maybe my fears and my insecurities and my self-limiting beliefs are stopping me from going to the next phase of life, just like we did age 15 to say age 18. And they start to do this work within them. So the creative endeavor is kind of tapping into our more creative, inspired, intuitive, hopeful, believing nature in the vast universe to have hope and faith and belief in our dreams. And we can be in relationships with people, we get in relationships, but then when we're moving forward in the relationship, are we both willing to do that work within ourselves and go kind of to the next level of the relationship, next level of life, keep growing and healing and maturing ourselves? And the fact is that some people don't plan to live their life differently. And sometimes we get in relationships with people, we could kind of be on the same page about a lot of ways about how commonalities, right? But then we get in the relationship and we could realize that the other person in the consciousness of lack has decided this is how they want to live their life forever, or this is how they view life. And it can be, we can all want stability and security in the world. We can all want to be in relationships. And some people, that is their end goal. Like, I want a job, I want to be in a relationship, and if I have those things, I'm good. This is what motivates and inspires me in the world. Operating more from my egoic nature. If I have a relationship, if I have a job, I'm good. And they're not someone who ever wants to go deal with whatever fears or insecurities or self-limiting beliefs they have that stop them from giving birth to something new. Some people, shadowy energy can mean that we keep repeating an old pattern over and over. And why would we do that? It's in our comfort zone. Sometimes we can meet people and they could be like a level ahead of us, in a sense where maybe they seem more stable or grounded or more mature than us. And then we come up the path of life and we kind of are on that page of life and we get in relationships with them, but we're still motivated to continue to grow and heal and grow to our full potential. And we get in relationships with people, again, there can be a lot of commonality. It seems like a good thing with the increase here and taking steps emotionally. Grateful that we found these people that we're working with or in relationship with. But then we can realize that they're happy at that level of life in a way. This is how I want to live my life. This is how I view life. And I don't ever plan to step out of my comfort zone because the truth sets us free to live life differently. We have to heal. We have to grow. We have to mature. We have to expand our perception of how we view the world, how we view ourselves. And some people are like, why would I do that? I'm good. If I'm aligned with my more worldly nature, if I have the status or the image or the money or I'm in a relationship or I've got a job, what? They just don't even maybe look at life that way. This was the end goal. And then we can get in a relationship with them and we kind of feel they might be happy living their life like that and repeating this old pattern over and over. And that's how their goals and what they were inspired by and how they want to live their life. But we could feel like it's lacking in some way for us because, again, talking about Scorpio energy, we could feel like the relationship doesn't grow and mature over time. That it doesn't become a more deep, meaningful relationship. And that can be when we realize in our philosophy of life about how we harness our Scorpio energy is different. And maybe emotionally, that was kind of the next step of the type of relationship we were ready for on that same page. But then over time, we wanted the relationship to grow and mature and deepen over time. And some of the people we could have realized they don't want to do that. They could have been wherever they're comfortable at how they emotionally live their life, and they don't want to maybe look at whatever it is that stops them from moving into a more deeper commitment or a more deep, meaningful relationship. And we all do what makes us feel maybe stable or grounded or balanced at any moment. And some people are ready to go to the next step. And for other people, if they were to try to do that, it could maybe really throw them out of balance. And so they don't want to do it. When we're ready to move forward in life differently, we would move forward in life differently. And the fact is, some people will never want to change or step out of their comfort zone because that's just how they have decided in their free will. This is what makes me feel stable, balanced, grounded, that I'm comfortable with. And they could live their life that way forever. And just like some of us could have felt that way, it's kind of like being at a job where, everybody, you work somewhere and everybody has their jobs and people can like it for a lot of reasons. It could have been a better job than they had before, but some people are like, well, what about once I learn this job, then maybe I could take on some other duties and responsibilities, kind of challenge myself, think I'm capable to take on more responsibilities and keep like moving up. And some people are like, what? Why would you do that? We're all happy doing this. And then there is no room for advancement. And that's when it's like, gee, I think I'm capable of more and I do want to grow to my full potential. And I am going to face my fears to go get a job where I can take the skills I've learned here to believe that I can give birth to something new. And that can be why some people emotionally don't do that in a relationship, because it does require them to work through some fears or insecurities about maybe being more authentically themselves, more vulnerable in a sense. And it's like, no, I just don't want to do it. So just like we felt that way, some people have already gotten out of some types of those types of relationships. We could have realized some people might want to move forward in a certain way of viewing relationships, how they view people they are in relationship with, might like to be maybe a little more about themselves or a little manipulative or a little kind of bossy or controlling. And that also can be why people don't want to give birth to anything new. Again, shadowy energy can be repeating a pattern. It's like following a template. This is how I saw people live life. This is how my mom and dad got along in a relationship. This is the way I've done things. I don't want to go create something new because that's like unknown territory. I would have to kind of listen to love and intuition to guide the steps that I'm taking because that's unknown territory. I've never been there before. And for that very reason, some people are unwilling to do that. Scorpio energy is represented by the Death card. Am I going to keep moving forward even though there's nothing new to learn here, but I'm unwilling to detach from some of these things and ways of viewing life, and maybe a little bit more about me, or trying to control things because that makes me feel safe. And I'm not willing. Then in the Death card, it's like I'm not willing to change. And other people, it's like going through this cycle of life of death and rebirth. Just like age, again, 15, 18, 21, 25. We have to shed some of our old ways of viewing life to face our fears, to go to the next phase of life and believe, I think I can take the things that I've learned from this aspect of life, and I think I'm going to take what are the things that I can still build upon, but I'm going to let go of some of the more immature ways of being. We all have our worldly nature, which is our more immature, fearful, defensive, want reward without effort, lazy, petty, envious, jealous, bossy, all those shadowy ways of being. And some people aren't willing to detach from some of those ways of being because they like those ways of being. And other people are like, I am willing to grow up and mature myself to detach from some of my more immature ways of being, to be someone, high vibe energy is about love, where I treat other people the way I want to be treated, that I maintain balance within myself, treat other people the way I want to be treated, act with character and integrity, am just and fair. And it's just like taking it to a new level. If I'm wanting to be in a relationship with people who are more emotionally mature people, I have to become a more emotionally mature person. Some people don't view life that way. They think they should still be able to be in some of these more immature ways of being, bossy or controlling or manipulative or more about them. And for some reason, shadowy energy can be us being kind of a little bit full of ourselves, that we just think people should indulge us for something. We're attractive, we're charming, we have status, we have money, we have power, we have social clout, or we just live in illusion and fantasy land and unwilling to see the truth. Some of you have already gotten out of some of those situations. Some people could be now feeling like they're in a relationship like that, and they could be trying to do this work within themselves, and then to take action on it, to stand up to their own shadow nature, that I'm not going to keep living my life this way, thinking that if I keep living my life this way or indulging in these things of the world or making it more about me, it's like I'm not going to believe the lie anymore, because at the big picture, shadowy energy is represented by the devil, high vibe energy is represented by God. Our shadow nature of fear and insecurity and lust and greed and pride and ego and laziness tries to tell us we don't have to do that. We'll be happy living our life like this. How many times are we going to repeat that pattern and realize, it doesn't quite get me that? Why? When are we willing to deal with the truth of it? Let's go look at the top row. The loving man, courage, true love, loving woman. So, again, the masculine figures can represent us in our egoic nature and our more worldly nature, but we also have our loving, creative, inspired, intuitive, passionate, loving nature. High vibe energy is about getting balance between the two, because otherwise we're kind of tipped out of balance, and it's kind of like going down the road of life. We want to be emotionally balanced. You could look at the ditches on either side of the road as like our shadow nature and our loving nature. We want to maintain balance between the two. We offer love emotionally to our shadow nature, to temper our fears and our insecurities and our pride and ego. That's like high vibe Leo energy of courage. I'm going to temper my fears, my insecurities, and my more immature worldly nature that wants what it wants now. And it's like, if I want to attain the things that I want in life, and I also respect my more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, and I want to be in loving relationships, I have to see the truth that I need to temper my more immature worldly nature. It's not just about me getting what I want. If I want to work together with other people who are in this type of energy, who have tempered their more me nature with love, and they're maintaining balance within themselves, not indulging poor behavior in themselves, well, it's an injustice for me to think, well, I just want to be in a relationship with you. That would look good. That'd be good for my ego and my image and my status. And indulging in these things of the world or the type of people I've been hanging out with makes me feel left out in the cold. Now I want to come get in a relationship with you. And some loving people are like, but you're still operating more from your mind than your heart and your ego. And the people I want to be in relationship with are people who have learned to temper their fears and their insecurity and their more me nature, who are bold and brave enough to do love, who have done this work within themselves to maintain balance, to not kind of indulge their more egoic nature, who really are, in high vibe Aries Leo energy, a leader, a good leader within themselves. Someone who, when they get in relationships with people, knowing that if they're working together with people that are loving and encouraging and supportive, and that, you know, that they should make good decisions in that relationship, not just decisions that are more about themselves, male or female. And sometimes we've been in relationships with people that were more about themselves. Some of those people that we could have been in relationships with, they could have enjoyed being in the relationship with you, but they knew in order to move forward with you in a relationship, they would have to look at life. You could look at the vast universe, kind of like Aquarius energy. They'd have to look at life from a higher perspective. They'd have to have some hope and faith and belief in love, in healing, and in just looking at life from a higher perspective. High vibe Aquarius is willing to step outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world, to give birth to something new. And they would have to give birth to something new within themselves. And that's when some people could have been like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I am defensive of myself. I am afraid of being hurt. I don't want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. I don't want to get out of it being more about me and maybe being defensive to being hurt. Or I don't want, I'm kind of aligned with my more worldly egoic nature, and I think life's more about status and image and money and materialism. Some people just want to, kind of like social climbing with the increase in taking steps. It's kind of like, well, I'm glad about the things I learned from you, but now what I've learned from you about how to work better together with people in a relationship maybe, and how loving people maybe operate, I'm going to take my show on the road and go find someone else who might be more about ego and image or money and materialism like me, because that's what drives and motivates me. Or I only like to be in relationships with people when it seems like I am in a position, people view me as being kind of in a higher position than them. And I like to be in relationships with people who do feel kind of left out in the cold. And then I can come in like their saving grace. And then I want those people to work with me, in a relationship with me, looking to me as like the savior in their life. Some people like to be in more codependent relationships. And if they get in relationships with people who do this work within themselves to love and believe in themselves and get more balanced, then they don't like to be in a relationship with them anymore, because that would require them to get more balance. And they don't like to be balanced. It's like, no, I'm tipped in favor of viewing life like this. Can be a little bit more about me or a little bit more about the world. And everybody likes to be in relationships with people who view life like them, right? So it can be that when we get in these mismatched relationships, that both people could kind of feel like, there could have been a lot of good things about this relationship, but how we want to move forward, what kind of drives and motivates us is different. They could want to go get in a relationship with someone who they think views life more like they do. The more people who want a more deep, meaningful relationship could want to go get in a relationship with someone who's more on the same page as them. But sometimes before that difference and break could happen, where people maybe detach from each other, the high vibe people offer love to the relationship, trying to encourage the people they're in relationship with to move forward with them in this way. Sadly, you know, we'd all probably like to keep the job, the friendships, and the relationships we're in instead of having to go find another one. And that's sometimes when we can find out the truth of how people, what drives and motivates them in a relationship, and what lessons they have learned and haven't learned. And sadly, if it's good for the ego and the image for someone who's more worldly, ego based, to be in a relationship with someone who's loving in a way they don't want them to go get in a different relationship initially, but the tactics that they use to try to keep that person in the relationship can be trying to control or manipulate them to keep them to stay in it. And that's kind of when we see the truth, that when we can have difficulties in a relationship and it is about deciding how we're going to move forward, the high vibe people offer truth and love and try to maintain balance within themselves. And the other people maybe haven't disciplined some of their fears and their insecurities or their kind of bossy or manipulative ways of being. And then it kind of reveals the truth. And that's when we realize that how we go about handling things is different, and that we're really not on the same page, and that the more worldly, shadowy people might want you to keep staying in it, but they want you to do the relationship the way they want, which is more about it staying out of balance, kind of indulging them in some way. And you want the relationship to go to the next level where it becomes more just, more fair, more deep, more meaningful, more loving. And the other people want you to do it the way it's been. But it's kind of like you having to give up your dreams where they get to do life the way they want it, and maybe not caring if you feel left out in the cold or rejected. And that might be how they like people to be in a relationship. I don't want you to know your worth and value. I don't want you to appreciate what you bring to the table. I don't want you to go get in a relationship with someone else because I know you're this loving, nurturing person. I'm just not willing to kind of grow, heal, or mature with you. I want to keep doing it the way it's been. But that's where it's like, but how long do we keep doing the same thing over and over and nothing ever changes? And I'm starting to feel like it's not growing and maturing over time. And I'm starting to feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love because you're not willing to make the free will choice to do love, or be more just and fair, or act with more character and integrity. Initially, we all have lessons to learn in life. And initially, I could have been willing to kind of enable people more in their poor behavior. Maybe that was a pattern of mine, being someone who offers assistance to people, thinking, oh, I'm sure they'll give up their more immature, indulgent, impulsive, or prideful, or defensive, or addictive ways or addictions to move forward with me in love, because loving people can't understand why other people don't do love. I'm sure if they were in a relationship with a loving person, they would choose love. Well, that's kind of when we need to get out of our ego and start getting in relationships with people who are more on the same page as us, and us get out of our God-Savior complex. Everybody makes these decisions in their life of how they view life to become the type of person that they are. And to think, oh, I've ended up here with my decisions in life, having kind of hope and faith and belief and love, and the other person has come out at the same stage of life and they're defensive, or they're got some shadowy traits or characteristics, or they're more about the world or something, that we should see the truth of it and respect it and realize we're kind of not operating from the same, at a core foundational level, we're kind of not operating on the same page. But, the whole thing is, sometimes we don't even know that. Sometimes the people we get in a relationship don't know that. Some people could think, oh, I might be defensive. I might be kind of whatever ways of being. I'm sure if I got in a relationship with a loving person, that I would detach from some of those ways of being to be more independent, because high vibe energy is about being independent of my more defensive nature or immature nature. But then when it comes down to it, where they really do have to detach, that's when, they realize they're not, and they didn't maybe even know it themselves. And again, people can want to stay in the relationship. High vibe people are harnessing high vibe Aries, Leo, Scorpio energy, offering love and encouragement, setting an example. And the other people could kind of maybe even just feel like they're not good enough. They don't love and believe in themselves. And they can see that the people they're in a relationship with have healed and grown and matured themselves in ways. And maybe they presented themselves as being maybe more emotionally mature and stable and grounded than they really were. And then their own lack mentality within themselves kind of runs their life. And instead of doing the work within themselves to work through those issues, they just decide to go get in a relationship with someone else, instead of having some hope and faith and belief in themselves and doing the work to love themselves. And then there's some people in the world that don't think that's their job. That's just not how they view life. What? I'm supposed to love myself? I'm supposed to do this work within myself? Because the truth sets us free, and expanding our perception of ourselves and the world around us and what we believe is possible, that's like Virgo energy. We go within and look at the things we prefer to keep hidden in the dark. And we offer love and compassion to it to grow and heal and mature ourselves. And some people are like, that's not how I view life. No, I get in a relationship for someone to love me. That would be shadowy, codependent energy. I'm looking outside of myself for the answer. And some people, their vice isn't drugs or alcohol or booze or something. Their vice is relationships. Well, no, that's not how I view life. Look at me. I might have this status, this image, this social clout, or money or power. I think the way I view life is that other people who maybe don't have some of those things, who want those things, those people are supposed to love me. That's how it's supposed to work. And then they think that's the answer to their problems, but it never resolves their problem of their fear and their insecurity or their lack mentality, not feeling good enough. They just hide behind their ego nature. And then it never resolves their issue. And then if they get in a relationship with people who are loving and nurturing and their issues bubble back up again, well, then it's like, well, you're not doing your job. I wouldn't have these issues bubbling up if you were the right person for me. You must be the wrong person. I need to go find someone else to be in a relationship to be the answer to my problems, because they never do the inner work within themselves to free themselves from it. And they don't think they should, because high vibe energy is about being independent of your own shadow nature. I have offered love to my shadow nature, my more worldly nature. I tempered my more prideful, egotistical nature of being like narcissistic, is what this true love, because it kind of looks like looking in a mirror. It's not all about me. It's not about perpetually I am supposed to be the center of attention, or this immature person that people are just supposed to want to be in a relationship with for some reason. And I am supposed to grow and mature and heal myself. And some people think, I don't have to do that. Look at me. Look at these things I have in the world. I'm sure there's someone who's willing to indulge me because of these things of the world that I have, or how I look, or my status, or my image. And these people have some lessons to learn in life. Other people, high vibe people can have all those traits, qualities, characteristics, but they don't think that because of that, other people are supposed to indulge them in a relationship. They've grown up and matured themselves. They think the most important reason why a person should be in a relationship with them is because they're this loving, nurturing, just, fair, emotionally mature person. And that's where there can be a difference on the extremes between people. And that's why some people who are more about these things that they have can't figure out why, some people put in work and effort with these loving, nurturing people, or leave them behind for the people who do want deep, meaningful, loving relationships, leave these people behind out in the cold when, I seem to have what those people have. Yeah, on the outside, we can all look like we're got these things of the world that people could want to be in a relationship with. It's just that these people, though, are operating more from defensiveness and ego, or immaturity, or something. And the other people are operating from love. They offer people love and encouragement to believe in themselves, to grow to their full potential. And the shadowy people don't offer people love and encouragement to grow to their full potential because they don't really want them to, because that would mean they would have to grow and mature themselves, and they don't want to. So we come into contact with all these different people to learn, get clear about what our truth is, what our truth isn't, to realize that some people do use their things of the world more and have these ideas of the dream relationship according to what would make them happy, and that isn't aligned with our truth. And so then we take this action to kind of stand up for ourselves and love and believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams. And we take action to love ourselves, to temper our fears and insecurities, to get balance within ourselves. Why would I keep staying in a job, friendship, or relationship where I feel like someone kind of wants the scales tipped in their favor all the time, or is bossy or controlling or not very loving or not very just, immature? Why would I even do that? Was I repeating a past pattern? Am I trying to make people who are like that love me? Why? Could be because we had people in our life who acted like that, and we have a core wound, and we're trying to make people, we want to win. This time they're going to choose me. I'm going to make someone who has an addiction give up that addiction. Maybe when I grew up, my mom or my dad had an addiction, or they were bossy, or they were prideful, or they were distant. And this time, boy, I'm going to get in a relationship with someone who's like that. And boy, this time they're going to pick me. I'm going to win. And that's us kind of in our ego nature. It's like, I'm done chasing after people who I'm going to give myself the things that I wish people in my life would have given me, so I can heal from that wound, so I don't repeat this past pattern. And I don't want to be, I can be a loving person who treats people with love and respect and encouragement and offers people resources, but I'm going to be a good leader in my own life, and I'm not going to get in relationships with people who my intuition tells me have these things that manipulate them, that don't manipulate me. If they're emotionally defensive, I accept you're emotionally defensive to love. I'm not, so we're friends only. Oh, you're kind of bossy and controlling? Yep, I've known people like that before. Yeah, I don't need you to validate my worth and value. I validated my worth and value. And I don't like being in relationships with people who are bossy and controlling and manipulative, so we'll just be acquaintances. And some of the shadowy people in the world, because they weren't willing to do this work within themselves, some of them could feel left out in the cold. from some people in their life who are very creative and inspired and look at life from a higher perspective and believe in their dreams, but they weren't willing to move forward with them in that way because they weren't willing to detach from these ways of viewing life or ways of viewing themselves or ways of viewing relationships. And some of those people might be moving forward with people who they do think are on the same page, or they're trying to manipulate and control someone new. And they're repeating the same pattern over again. Well, let's go see what's coming up. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy that they might not see coming up? And I think when people get out of these type of situations, they take this action from love to temper their fears and insecurities, get any professional help that they need, to love and believe in themselves, and to realize I need to invest in the people in my life and the things in my life that motivate and inspire me to love and believe in ourselves. Just like this can just be our own shadowy nature, we are not meant to be oppressed by our fear and our insecurity and our pride and our ego and our thoughts and our emotions. We are meant to master our thoughts and our emotions. We have the free will choice which thoughts and emotions we choose to sit in every day. It's not to be in denial of some of them. We work through them. We offer love and compassion to ourselves for the mistakes we've made. We offer love and compassion to people in our past so we can detach from them. And we start taking this action in love to start focusing our time, energy, and effort into the things that motivate and inspire us. Like, I love the movies, so I probably go out to the movie theater at least once, if not 2 times a week. And lately we've been really getting into renting or just checking out all these movies from the library and watch movies every night. But movies, music, books, all these things that can motivate and inspire us to expand our perception of ourselves and the world around us, and then investing our time, energy, and effort into people who we feel do love and encourage us to believe in ourselves, that we don't feel are trying to manipulate or control us, that do want us to grow to our full potential, and align with that within ourselves. And then we make offers to people in our world who we think are on the same page as us. So some of you could have made offers to people who you think are on the same page as you. Some of the people in your life are, between friends and family and adult children and coworkers, are going to invest in you because they see that you're someone who doesn't try to manipulate and control people. There might be some people coming to you, or people that you'll meet, that want your assistance. And it's one thing to offer assistance to people. It's another thing to get in a relationship with people. So what's coming up for the high vibe people that they don't see coming? The Lover's card. Because of the 6 of Swords, the 6 of Swords moves away from the 5 of Swords, and the 5 and the 6 of Swords are Aquarius energy, which is about our dreams and how we view life. And we could have realized that someone that we could have had love for, it is kind of more about the worldly dream, and that's how they view life. That's what drives and motivates them, and that's not our truth. Our truth is we adhere to a higher truth and justice, and it's not just about the ego and the image and being in a relationship just for the sake of being in a relationship, just being in a job to have a job. I want to be in the jobs and the relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive, who inspire me to grow to my full potential. And that's how I am with people, and that's the kind of people I want to hang out with. And if I've been in friendships, jobs, and relationships with people who try to dominate or control me or manipulate me and try to make me make my life about viewing life the way they view life, I don't view life that way. It's like staying in a job where somebody's being petty and immature, but the pay is great. And it's like, you know what? How much do I need? I'll go find a different job. And the same things can happen in relationships. But sometimes if we don't love and believe in ourselves and our dreams, then we'll stay in situations with people who do act kind of in these shadowy ways of being. And some people right now are going to stay in them because they haven't learned to love and believe in themselves. And, it gives them a certain image and a certain status, and it can be kind of, by some high vibe people in their life, it kind of illuminates to them, and they could even be sad about it because they could have viewed themselves as someone who, high vibe energy kind of illuminates shadowy energy. And some people, it's kind of illuminating even to themselves something they hadn't maybe wanted to see in themselves. I guess I am more ego focused or image focused than I thought I was. Because I could be in something and I'm not willing to get out of it, to have hope and faith and belief in my dreams. And I see some other people in my life are doing that. And they could be willing to move away from people who are willing to be in a relationship with them. But I'm not willing to stay in a relationship with someone who seems to have mental conflict about being loving or looking at life from a higher perspective. I have my idea of the dream type of relationship that I want to be in, and I'm going to keep believing I will find those type of people in my life if those type of people aren't in my life right now. If I'm in a romantic relationship, those are the people I'm going to keep moving forward with. If someone comes into my life who offers me, and I believe they're on the same page as me, those are the people I'm going to move forward with. And odds are the other people are going to keep living life the way they live it because they're more motivated viewing life that way. Or, the Six of Swords is moving away from the Five of Swords. You could know some people that want to win at all costs, or it's all about them, and they really don't care. It's all about them looking like they have more image, more status, more power with the increase. And finding people who are willing to be in relationship with them for them to have that status, that image, or to be indulged in their ego, if that's how they view the dream life. Or where it's more just about them, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to indulge people in their poor, egotistical, self-centered behavior. They can find someone else to do it. Or if they're more about indulging someone else to have those things, go enjoy your life. I don't think, we have lessons to learn in life. And I think high vibe people have learned some lessons that some other people in their life haven't learned. And learning lessons can be painful. And I think some of these shadowy people are going to learn some painful lessons. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they might not see coming? So I think the high vibe people are going to move forward in love. They're going to invest their time, energy, and effort into people who they think are on the same page as them. And I think they're going to be in loving, nurturing, supportive relationships with people in their life that are on the same page as them. And they, I think, are going to have their dreams come into reality because that's who they invest their time, energy, and effort into. And they're working with not just the things of the world, but like life force energy of creativity and imagination to give birth to something new. And I think life-giving energy in turn then works with you to bring your dreams into reality. What's coming up for the worldly people that they might not see coming? The Three of Pentacles because of the Five of Swords. Well, for one thing, if they have people in their life that they're kind of trying to dominate, control, or manipulate, what they didn't see coming is that those people would put in work and effort about their mental conflict about staying in this relationship with these people. And they did this work within their foundation to offer truth and love to their more worldly nature and view of life to free themselves. And for some people that are kind of worldly or shadowy, they didn't think some of the people they were in a relationship with would kind of see the truth that the people they're working with might have some mental conflict about love, or are more egotistical, or do kind of want to win at all costs. Because the shadowy people could be kind of leaving some of the loving people in their life out in the cold. No, you're supposed to love and appreciate me. You're supposed to give up your dreams and the things that you want. You're supposed to be grateful to me. I could look like I'm this person who maybe it looks like my dreams are going to come into reality in a worldly sense. And if you don't have gratitude to me, well then, and you kind of have hope and faith and belief in yourself, and you're not making your life about me, well then I'm going to leave you out in the cold. You know, and people do that long enough, the people they're in a relationship with have mental conflict about staying in a relationship with them. And eventually, you know, the Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords, Libra energy of meditating on the truth, healing from pain and heartbreak. And eventually, they're ready to take action on the truth, because this is a masculine figure, and to stand up for themselves and what they believe in. I have been trying to offer you love and encouragement to move forward with me, to bring a dream into reality. And I see that you seem to have mental conflict about bringing that dream into reality. You apparently have a different dream than I do. And this could be a way that you think is just and fair to act in a relationship, and I don't. And I'm leaving. And I'm going to go invest in loving myself and believing in myself and healing. And then I'm going to go invest my time, energy, and effort into people who I think are on the same page. And those people did not see that coming. But there's always other people in the world who are going to want to work with people. And there might be someone else who wants to work with them. For some, it's other people who have lessons to learn from someone like this, and they're going to get in a relationship with them because they could have mental conflict about loving and believing in themselves. And that's how God can use shadowy people in the world. Oh, yep. Some of our people that got mental conflict about loving and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams, they'll get in a relationship with this person because this person does look like they've got these things of the world, and then they'll decide if that's their truth or not. If it's not their truth, then that will be the catalyst to make them do this work within themselves, to love and believe in themselves, maybe get professional help if they need it, and they will free themselves, and they will have learned the lesson that these people help people realize this is not how I want to live my life. And they could repeat the same pattern again. Or they could end up where someone wants to work with them because someone else is like them. And they also were in relationships with people who wanted them to grow and heal and mature themselves. And they had mental conflict about that, and they're looking back at this person saying, hey, I think you're someone who's kind of on the same page as me. We should work together. I, too, kind of have mental conflict about getting out shadowy energy again, being in our pride and our ego. I, too, have mental conflict about looking at life from a higher perspective. I, too, am more about my ego and my image and status and money and materialism. And maybe if I get in a relationship with you, it'll look like we have all those things. And some of those people might stay together in a relationship because both of them operate from their more worldly view of life. This is like my dream. I'm willing to work with this person because it makes me look like a shining star in the world. It's just that both people could have a lack mentality. Both people could have a lot of mental conflict that they don't deal with. Both people could be kind of bossy and controlling or manipulative or immature or prideful or egotistical, but that would be a just and fair relationship. If they align with their more worldly nature, don't want to grow and heal and mature themselves, they should be in relationships with other people who are on that same page and willing to keep staying on that page and not grow and heal and mature themselves. And I think they'll end up in a relationship that by worldly standards, the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy, it might look like they have what other people have, but the other people have the Six of Swords. It's not based on ego and image and money and materialism. It's based on truth and love. So we can see different people in the world in relationships, but why are they in those relationships? Some people are in it because they work through their fears and insecurities and egoic nature to work cooperatively with people in love, to bring a dream into reality. The other people look like they've got what those people have. It's just not based on truth and love. It might have been, well, I wanted to be in a relationship. Well, I wanted to look victorious and successful. I wanted to look like I have what those people have. I'm just not willing to see the truth that it's supposed to be about love. So I could be in a relationship with someone. We both have mental conflict about love. But we want to look like we have those things, so let's work together in a relationship and create the illusion that it's love. If they try to get in a relationship with someone who's like themselves, it might be a problem, because if both people kind of like to have the scales tipped in their favor, be indulged in some way, some of them are going to go get in a relationship with someone, and if those people find someone else who seems like they would indulge them more, or that person has more status, image, or money, they could leave them out in the cold to go get in a relationship with someone who has more status and image and money. Sorry, I wasn't in it for love. And it really is more about me and my wants and my needs and my lust and my greed and my pride and my ego and my fear and my insecurity. And I found someone else who's willing to indulge me more in some way. And some people then will have to work with someone where they might have inner conflict with them, have conflict about the relationship in some way. But if their main thing is, I just want to look like I'm the boss, I just want to be in a relationship, I just, whatever, they could stay in things even though it causes a mental conflict, because they're just not willing to do this work within themselves to heal or grow or mature themselves and look at life from a higher perspective. So they kind of settle for less than maybe what they would have liked to have been in some way. But they weren't willing to see the truth that it's about love. So then the people that are maybe willing to stay in a relationship with them, maybe stay in a relationship with them for their own reasons. And maybe, if neither one of them is willing to get out of it, then they stay in a relationship because they both have mental conflict about loving and believing in themselves. And even though they have mental conflict about staying in the relationship they're in. And everybody could feel left out in the cold. But by worldly standards, it looks good, they'll maybe stay in it. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.